My fiancé was always protective of his phone. One day he left it unlocked. I saw a text thread named Queen. I opened it. The last message said, "She'll never know." I sent a selfie of me reading it. She blocked me. He never made it to the wedding. I was 34, living in a cozy little house in Asheville, North Carolina. I had a stable job as a nurse, a tight-knit group of friends, and a fiancé I adored. His name was Ryan. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue, and from the moment he offered me the last hot dog, I was smitten. Ryan was charming, attentive, and had this way of making me feel like the only woman in the world. He was a software engineer, working remotely, which meant we got to spend a lot of time together. We moved in together after a year, and he proposed 6 months later during a weekend trip to Charleston. It was perfect. But as they say, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Ryan was always protective of his phone. At first, I thought nothing of it. Everyone values their privacy, right? But over time, it became noticeable. He'd take his phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. He'd angle the screen away from me, and if I ever got close, he'd quickly switch apps. I brushed it off, convincing myself I was being paranoid. One evening, he left his phone on the kitchen counter while he went to take a shower. It buzzed. I glanced at it, and a message preview popped up. "Queen, she'll never know." My heart dropped. I knew I shouldn't, but curiosity got the better of me. I unlocked his phone. He'd recently changed his passcode, but I had seen him enter it a few times. 0420. Real mature. I opened the message thread with Queen. The conversation was explicit. They talked about their last encounter, plans for the next, and how clueless I was. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I took a deep breath, turned on the front camera, and snapped a selfie. Me, holding his phone, with the message thread clearly visible. Then I sent it to Queen. Seconds later, I saw the 3 dots indicating she was typing. Then, nothing. She blocked me. I placed his phone back where I found it and waited. Ryan came out of the shower, towel around his waist, humming some tune. He saw me sitting at the kitchen table, his phone in front of me. "Hey, everything okay?" he asked. I slid the phone towards him. "You left this out here. Thought you might want it." He looked at the phone, then at me. His face went pale. "I saw the messages," I said calmly. "Between you and Queen." He stammered, trying to come up with an excuse, but I wasn't interested. "I sent her a selfie," I continued. "She blocked me." He sat down, burying his face in his hands. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I stood up. "Save it. The wedding's off." Word spread quickly. Friends and family were shocked. Some tried to convince me to forgive him, but most supported my decision. I returned the wedding dress, canceled the venue, and got a refund on most of the deposits. Ryan moved out a week later. But I wasn't done. I remembered that Ryan had been working on a big project for a local startup. He often bragged about how integral he was to their success. I did some digging and found out who the CEO was. I sent him an anonymous email detailing Ryan's behavior and suggesting he might not be the trustworthy employee they thought he was. A week later, Ryan called me, furious. He'd been let go. I hung up. It's been 6 months. I've started dating again, cautiously. I adopted a dog named Max, who brings me endless joy. Ryan tried to reach out a few times, but I blocked him. As for Queen, I have no idea what happened to her. And I don't care. I thought it was over. Truly. Ryan was out of my life, the wedding was off, and I was rebuilding piece by piece. Then came the knock. It was early evening. Max started barking before I even got to the door. When I opened it, there stood her. The woman from the messages. Queen. She was shorter than I imagined. Maybe 5 feet 3 inches. Long auburn hair, tight black jeans, and a look in her eyes like she was ready for war. "You're her," she said. I didn't respond. I didn't owe her a damn thing. She stepped forward. We need to talk. Max growled. I kept the door mostly closed. There's nothing to talk about. Ryan's missing, she said, voice shaky. He disappeared 3 days ago. I didn't want to care. But curiosity? It's a tricky thing. Later that night, I did some digging. His Facebook was still active, but no posts in weeks. Instagram, same thing. I checked the startup's social media page, and that's when I saw it. A photo from a recent networking event in Charlotte. Ryan was there, in the background, with someone I didn't recognize. I zoomed in. It wasn't just anyone, it was my old coworker, Greg. The one who got fired last year after some sketchy hospital supply misplacement. He and Ryan had never even met, as far as I knew. Next morning, I called up my friend Alyssa, who still worked at the hospital. Hey, random question, I said. Do you remember Greg? Do you know what he's doing now? Oh, yeah, she said. Weird story. He started some shady business with a tech guy. Word is, they're moving to Florida. Tech guy. My stomach dropped. I started to piece it together. Ryan didn't just lose his job. He pivoted. Fast. To something off the books. Illegal? I wasn't sure yet. But it made sense. Ryan always had a backup plan. Always. I tried calling his number. Disconnected. I checked Venmo, PayPal, anywhere I could trace him. Nothing. But then, I checked our old shared Google Photos account. And bingo. A picture, accidentally uploaded, time-stamped just 2 days ago. A beach I recognized, Clearwater, Florida. I don't know what came over me. Maybe I wanted answers. Maybe I wanted closure. Or maybe I wanted to make sure he paid for everything. I packed a bag, loaded Max into the back seat, and drove south. 10 hours later, I was in Clearwater. I started with hotels. Showed Ryan's picture around. Most people shook their heads. But one desk clerk remembered him. Oh yeah, he left in a rush. Middle of the night. Looked nervous. I checked the lobby cameras. Gave the clerk a good excuse, said he was my brother and might be off his meds. There he was. Ryan, leaving with Greg. Carrying a black duffel bag. No luggage. I went back to the Airbnb I rented and checked the news. That's when it hit me. A local headline. 2 men suspected in $200,000 startup embezzlement still at large. The names? Ryan and Greg. So, it wasn't just cheating. It wasn't just lying. It was crime. I knew what I had to do. I messaged Queen. Meet me. I know where he is. She responded in minutes. We met at a diner just off the highway. Her real name was Sasha. She looked worn out, like life had just thrown her into a dryer and left her spinning. He lied to me, too, she said. Told me you were crazy. That you cheated. That he was stuck with you. We shared stories. Compared lies. And slowly, we realized he'd been playing both of us. For years. So we made a plan. I created a burner phone and texted Ryan. Hey, it's me. I'm in town. We need to talk. You owe me answers. He responded. Where are you staying? I gave him the Airbnb address. Sasha and I waited across the street in her car. Around midnight, he showed up. Hoodie up, moving fast. He had another duffel bag with him. The moment he stepped inside, we made the call. Not to him. To the police. It happened fast. Cops swarmed the block within 10 minutes. Ryan never saw it coming. They found fake IDs, burner phones, and a flash drive full of stolen financial data in the bag. Greg was arrested the next day at a bus station. Ryan was furious. Called me every name under the sun as they shoved him into the back seat. You set me up, you psychotic. I smiled. You said I'd never know. A week after Ryan's arrest, I received a letter. Not a text. Not an email. A real envelope in the mail with no return address. I hesitated before opening it. Inside was one sheet of paper, handwritten. You think this is over? I never worked alone. You exposed me. Fine. But now you've made enemies you don't even know exist. Sleep tight. No signature. No name. But it wasn't Ryan's handwriting. Suddenly, strange things started happening. My car alarm went off in the middle of the night, 3 times in 1 week. I came home from work to find my front door cracked open. Nothing stolen. Just off. A photo appeared in my mailbox. It was of me, sitting at the park with Max, taken from a distance. I called the police. They said without a direct threat or damage, they couldn't do much. So I did the next best thing. I installed cameras. Every corner of my house. I wasn't going to be anyone's victim again. Sasha and I had stayed in touch after the takedown. We weren't friends, exactly, but something close. Trauma bonded. One night, I called her. I needed to talk. That's when she dropped her own bombshell. I didn't just meet Ryan through Tinder, she said. I was recruited. Recruited? By Greg. I was part of the original plan. At first, I didn't speak. I just listened. He told me to get close to Ryan. See if he'd flip. Use his tech skills to help with the startup scam. I did. But I fell for him. Ryan didn't know about Greg's setup at first, until he found out and joined in. Then they both got greedy. You never told me this, I said, cold. Because I thought if I helped you get him arrested, it would fix things. But I think Greg had backers. Bigger people. And I think they're coming after both of us. I went back to the flash drive the police had confiscated. I still had a copy. I'd secretly made one the night before I turned it in. Paranoid? Maybe. Smart? Definitely. Inside were more than just financial records. There were videos. Logs of phone calls. Spreadsheets labeled with names and dates. And another folder, deadweight, that I hadn't seen before. Inside were surveillance photos of other women. Maybe 5 or 6. Notes on each one. Habits. Schedules. All had one thing in common. They dated Greg or Ryan. Most had suddenly moved, changed jobs, or just dropped off social media. I realized something sickening. This wasn't just embezzlement. It was a ring of manipulation, theft, and maybe worse. Sasha remembered an old address Greg used for inventory storage. We drove out together. It was a rundown warehouse near Gainesville, Florida. We broke in after dark. The place was full of crates. Boxes of tech gear, used medical equipment, some of it stolen from my old hospital. And in a backroom files. Dozens. Photos. IDs. Fake passports. Contracts. One folder was labeled Insurance, AK. My initials. Inside were screenshots of my bank account, a copy of my ID, and forged documents listing me as a silent partner in their company. They were setting me up. I couldn't go to the cops with this. Not yet. I needed a guarantee. Something that would burn this whole operation to the ground if anything happened to me. I uploaded everything to a cloud folder, set to release publicly if I didn't log in every 72 hours. Then I contacted a journalist friend I knew from college, now working at a major paper in Atlanta. She was stunned. And interested. We'll have to verify it all, she said. But if even half this is real, it's a hell of a story. She started digging. Quietly. Out of nowhere, I got a collect call from jail. It was Greg. Listen, I can make all this go away, he said. We weren't after you. Not really. Ryan made it personal. I didn't. You forged documents with my name, I said flatly. He didn't deny it. But if you give me immunity, I can give you the names. The real people behind this. The ones who don't show up in your files. I'm not a prosecutor. No. But you know people. And you have leverage. Use it. Then he said something that chilled me. You think Ryan's still locked up? Click. I checked. Ryan had been scheduled for transport to a state facility 2 days ago. Except the facility never received him. According to the prison system, he was in transit. For 48 hours. A mistake? Or something else? I contacted the journalist again. We went public. Her article dropped 3 days later. Exclusive: tech fraud ring tied to missing ex-convict and dark web connections. It exploded online. And that's when my house burned down. I wasn't inside, but everything I owned was gone. The fire marshal said it was faulty wiring. I knew better. I stood there, in my front yard, watching what used to be my life smolder under the night sky. The flames lit up the trees. The air stank of smoke and melted plastic. Max whimpered at my side. Firefighters said it was probably faulty wiring. I knew that was a lie. It was a message. Someone knew I was getting too close. After the article blew up, more stories came in. Women across the country shared messages, screenshots, photos, receipts. Ryan and Greg weren't just scammers, they were serial manipulators. Sometimes for money, sometimes just for the power of it. A name kept popping up. Ellis Monroe. He wasn't in any of the documents, but he always seemed connected. An investor. A silent partner. Someone no one could pin down. Sasha tracked him down using a friend of hers who worked in finance. Ellis Monroe wasn't just real, he was rich, connected, and very careful. We found him in Miami. We didn't call the police. We showed up at his office. His assistant tried to stop us. I pushed past. He was older than I expected. Late 50s. Silver hair. Wore a $5,000 watch like it was a gas station piece. "You're making a mistake," he said as soon as we walked in. I dropped the flash drive on his desk. "This says otherwise." He didn't flinch. "You think exposing me will help you? You think the world will care? This runs deeper than 2 dirtbags and a fake startup." I leaned forward. "You're right. They won't care." Then I pressed play on my phone. It was a recording. From earlier. Of him admitting to connections. Of him threatening us. He paused, then smiled. "You won't make it out of Miami." I knew we couldn't outpower Ellis, but we could outsmart him. While Sasha distracted him in the meeting, I uploaded the audio and documents to a secure whistleblower platform. Anonymous. Backed by a nonprofit that helped bring down corporate fraud rings. It went live 2 hours later. Names. Numbers. Connections. Ellis, Ryan, Greg. Their whole disgusting network. The fallout was fast. FBI raids. News crews outside mansions in Florida and New York. Ellis was arrested at his yacht. Greg tried to cut a deal, but no one wanted his stories anymore. Ryan? He was found in a motel in Alabama. Tried to run. Got tackled in a Waffle House parking lot. The moment I read that headline, I cried. Not out of sadness. Relief. Now here's where I own my part. I ignored the signs. I let love blind me. I snooped through his phone, but too late. I trusted the wrong people. I even put myself in danger, chasing revenge. I lost everything. My house. My peace. But you know what? I'd do it all again. Because sometimes justice doesn't come in a courtroom. It comes in ashes, headlines, and orange jumpsuits. They all went down. Ellis got 12 years. Greg got 8. Ryan got 15 for fraud, ID theft, and conspiracy. Sasha disappeared after the story broke. She left me one message: "You gave them hell. Now give yourself peace." I moved to Oregon. Bought a quiet little cabin near the coast. Max and I walk the trails every morning. I still check my security cameras. Still sleep with a bat next to the bed. But I sleep. That's more than I can say for the men who thought they could use me, lie to me, and walk away. Because in the end, they were right about one thing. I never knew. But once I did, I burned it all down.